Man, mental health, man, it ain't nothing to mess around with, man. For real, it ain't nothing to clown about. It ain't nothing to joke about. It ain't nothing to sit there and poke fun about. Back, get back on there. It ain't nothing to play with. And see, I could go all the way in talking about uh, Stephen A. Smith and doing all that. I'm gonna just say that he is a clown. He is he is disgusting for what he did. He is immature for what he doing. He is matter of fact. You know what? I think he suffers from a form of mental illness because narcissism or being narcissistic, believe it or not, that is a mental illness. True Viking, I see you in the billion. Make sure y'all hit the like, sub, comment, notification, do all that good stuff. I mean, this is a sensitive topic to some people. And look, man, if you coming up in here to try to, debunk some shit or trying to sit up here and go at me and try to be a contrarian on this and everything, it's not the day for that. Please don't do that today, cause I'll send your ass right up out of here. And I don't care who you are. I don't want to be like, well, see, what you have to understand is, or this is cap and none of that other stuff. Look, nah, it's not the time for that. It's not the time for that because some of y'all know people, and if you don't know people, you've probably seen it firsthand. And if you haven't seen it firsthand, then I'm pretty sure that it's been on display for some of y'all to see. And if you don't take it serious, that's on you. If you know somebody, you should have a responsibility in order to in order to make sure that the people that you are around that are suffering from this, that they feel your support. It don't even matter if you don't get along with the person. Look, I've said this before. I'm gonna go through several several examples of how mental illness have been in front of me firsthand, and how I witnessed it. You know, I ain't gonna lie. I've been depressed before. Depression is uh is a form of mental illness, mental health issue. I was depressed for quite some time when I lost my grandmother. And some people might say, "Oh, well, big deal." Uh, people come and go and everything like that. Look, that's just an exterior and a front for some people to try to cover up how they feeling in the pain. And sometimes they turn to other things like alcohol or drugs or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm probably singing a song to singing a tune to some of y'all. Y'all probably like, well, I know all of this, but some of y'all don't. Some of y'all don't know how to deal with it. I was depressed. I would say I got over it pretty quick, man. I was depressed for about 5, 6 months. you know, and getting over my grandmother's death was something that maybe wasn't as easy for me as everybody else. You said, Sub Polo, yes, mental health in our community is a topic people shy away from, and we need to embrace it and address our individual. I imagine you meant each individual. Look, as I've said before, I got a friend. He's doing quite well now. He's doing great. But at one point, this guy was suicidal because of what had taken place. He suffered from PTSD. Went into the military, uh, straight out of high school. Went straight into the military and got married and everything. Was doing great. And then what ended up happening is he ended up getting out, coming back from his tour, and something had taken place between him and his wife. His wife had ended up leaving and taking the kids and getting rid of their stuff and all that stuff, and he was alone. He was alone, and that loneliness ended up turning into what he was already had PTSD, because you could tell, because uh, we couldn't take him nowhere. We tried to go out and stuff like that, and he was, I mean, just getting into it, like real paranoid about stuff, acting out. But we understood, because there was a lot of people that was suffering from that sort of thing. So we were just like, it was kind of the norm, and we tried to lend his support. But this, when you had the depression that hit, because he was already frustrated that he wasn't getting the type of jobs that he wanted to get and stuff, then he wanted to out this life. He wanted to be his own demise. He wanted to take his own life. He became suicidal, and it wasn't like an overnight thing. It wasn't like, oh yeah, he got over it in a week. No, we're talking about a couple of years, where at one point he didn't shower, brush his teeth, uh, didn't. He sat in the same spot for literally a month. Literally a month. And we had to come in and clean up for this dude. Uh, the only place that he would get up and go is to down the street to go get whenever it was time to get alcohol, or to get cigarettes or Black and Miles or whatever. And then he was always trying to find somebody. That was the only thing that he was doing. That was the only thing we were doing, and get right back, because everything was pretty much, you know, taken care of, how he orchestrated everything. Everything was already taken care of, even though he had kind of downgraded to everything in terms of his spot. He had all the money and stuff because this guy was incredible in what he did in terms of serving his country, high rank and everything. But all of that, he didn't care about any of that stuff. What he cared about was being a family man, his wife and his kids. And when he lost all of that, he felt like he lost a part of himself, you know. But it took him a while. Had to go through counseling, uh, therapy, and then of course he was working. He was with other veterans like himself to work through the process. It was a very long process. It's mental, a lot of mental endurance that he had to go through. But nevertheless, he still was able to triumph. He was able to triumph over it. He was able to leap that hurdle, so to speak. And at first, when he got like, I'm not gonna say clean or anything, because I mean, he would drink and everything, but it wasn't to the point where, believe it or not, it wasn't to the point where uh, his alcohol habit, or it wasn't like he was a complete alcoholic or anything like that. But he would drink every now and then, but it wasn't excessive. But when I say when he got back to normal, it wasn't like it was clean. I'm saying his mental state was back to normal, so he got more aggressive. Wasn't thinking about outing himself or killing himself, or thinking about some ways to get out of this life or anything. But he became more aggressive and saying, you know what? I don't care if jobs are gonna turn me down. I don't care if if they're gonna tell me no, or the doors are gonna be shut in his face and everything. And what did he end up doing? He ended up uh he went to the bottom of the barrel. Some people might see at the bottom of the barrel. He started working at a convenience store, and he stacked up his money. He ended up stacking up his money, and it took him a while. And then what he ended up doing, because then he ended up going and doing overseas contracting for a little bit. That's the one thing I forgot. And then, at that time, overseas contracting was a big thing. And he came back, started his own business, started his own chop shop, because he was really into cars. And then ended up starting his a detail. It was like a detail slash chop shop. And then he also had he was doing the cleaners. He started getting into various different things, and he rebounded, and now he's doing phenomenal. Got remarried, ended up, and this is the thing. His ex-wife, who was his high school sweetheart, she ended up getting in a lot of trouble, and then she ended up falling off and did worse. And she wanted him back, wanted to do this, wanted to do that. He said, "No dice. I'm doing 50 times better than what I was." So the thing about that too is like when you look at a person and you're like, ah ha ha ha, you clowning that guy because he's at mental health and all this other stuff. Guess what? Shoot, that person that you clowning, that person that you making fun of, that person that you laughing, making jokes about, trolling, um, getting online, doing all that other stuff, they're gonna level up on you. They're gonna level up on you, and it's gonna infuriate you. It's gonna infuriate you. It's gonna make you mad. You're gonna be like, man, I'm upset that he's happy. I'm upset that he's doing well. I'm upset that he's progressing in life. I'm upset that he's successful. You know, I know another guy. Going down. I know another guy in high school. Uh, this guy was he was a big dude, real big dude. Everybody was afraid of him, you know, and he liked to fight. You know what I'm saying? He was living that thug life, but a lot of people he was living that street life hard. But he had a gift. He picked up things so quick, but he was schizophrenic. He suffered from schizophrenia. He suffered from schizophrenia, man. And uh, the thing about this guy, man, that was so intriguing, though, is that this guy was extremely intelligent for what he had. A lot of people that have schizophrenia, if y'all don't know, they got extremely high IQs. A lot of guys. And but the thing about him is, okay, they recruited him, to play football in high school because they saw that he was getting in trouble. But he was in AB. He was in abnormal behavior. He had to be in a special class, and what he ended up doing is he ended up going into football, but he ended up lashing out because he thought somebody was talking about him, and he nearly beat one of the football players to death in the locker room, and they kicked him out of football. But this guy had NFL size and NFL skill, and he had an NFL mentality too. But they said, yeah, we can't have you in our facility ever again. Uh, but he didn't get in extreme trouble because he was in the class, you know, and he ended up having to go when he got out of school. Uh, he was doing some crazy stuff, man. I'm talking about, he got hooked on smoking a thing called PCP or wet embalming fluid for those of y'all that don't know. And he would walk. He was walking into people's yards in his boxes. He would be in and out of jail, but the thing about it is that they knew that he couldn't stay in jail because they knew that he was diagnosed already. with schizophrenia. So they ended up putting him in a they put him in a crazy home, you know. And but when he would come to our house, cause we grew up with him, he knew my mom, and because we knew him and we were cool with him, he was he would just be he would be normal around us, and we would have to bring him down. Like if like one time my mom had threw a barbecue and a party for us and stuff, and there was some guys there that they were trying to, I guess, call themselves trying to wreck the party or whatnot. And I mean, this dude was big, man. He had to be about, he was like 6'5", must have been like easily 315 pounds or whatever. And he literally picked this guy up and everything, and was about to really viciously slam this dude on the ground, but we had to hold him back from doing that sort of thing. But he was just trying to protect the party. He was just trying to have a good time. He wanted everybody just to have a good time. He wanted everybody to have a good time, but that's what he did. You know, he liked to smoke, he liked to drink, but the thing that he loved to do the most is fight. you know, he couldn't even be a bouncer at the club for that long because he was bouncing at the strip clubs and stuff. And I mean, I'm talking about throwing guys up against the up against something up against the car face first and stuff like that. They were like, nah, we can't have you doing security here at this club and all this other stuff. And while some guys might think that's funny and stuff, or might get a kick out of it, or might be in awe of that type of shit, man, we, you know, it's it kind of gets to you because you grew up with this guy. You don't want to see that guy go down a bad path or a destructive path or anything like that because of something that's going to eventually hurt, be damaging to them. So me wasting my energy talking about a guy like Stephen A. Smith and him talking about Stephon Marbury and what he was going through and everything like that, man. That shows his lack of integrity and his lack of maturity to do something. He might come off like he's intelligent and like he's got it together and all this other stuff, but it be the main people that's sitting there poking fun of somebody or making fun of somebody that has a mental illness, that's suffering mentally. Them Those are the ones that actually might need the most help. Those are the ones with the skeletons in their closet. Those are the ones that are fighting demons, you know? And there's plenty of people that I know that y'all know that are going through this sort of thing. Look, they want you to get on here. They want you to get on this YouTube thing, and they want you to sit here and talk about a guy and give him power to talk about, to make him controversial and all this other stuff. When really, when really, he is the one that needs help. He's the one that's always poking at the bear. If you notice that, like he never had anything wrong with him. We're not around that guy 24/7, 365 years, 365 days a year. You're not around him enough to know. Okay, he might be. He might be drinking heavily, but guess what? He might be a functioning alcoholic. Might be doing every drug in the book, but he might be a functioning drug addict. Dude might be bipolar than a motherfucker, but he's he's taking his medicine and doesn't want to display it to the public. Brandon Marshall was able to publicly admit and come to grips that he had a mental illness with the bipolar, if I'm not mistaken, with the bipolar situation. Delonte West, while everybody was sitting there clowning him, wasn't trying to give him, put a hand out to him to help him. It took a guy, Mark Cuban, who they criticized heavily about being an asshole or being this and being that. And guess what he tried to do? He tried to give him opportunity to some extent. While everybody's sitting there talking about him, saying, "Look at Delonte, he's struggling," and all this other stuff. No, you got to be a solution to the problem. Don't pour gasoline on the fire. But that's what a lot of us do. We make the situation way more worse instead of trying to help those guys. You know, I would say we got to wake up, but I'm so exhausted with saying that to some people because some people not woke and don't want to wake up. They don't want to wake up. They don't want to come to grips of what's truly going on. And some of y'all are depressed and don't even know it. Listen, if you are suffering from mental health, man, come to grips with it. Understand that you got a problem and go get some help. Nobody gonna judge you for it. Nobody gonna judge you for it. I'm certainly not. It's been some subs on here and been some guys on here that basically have told me, look, I got this going on, I got that going on. You know, it's a real thing. It's a real thing, and until it hits you, you won't even know it. So Stephen A, shame on you. All right. Shame on you. Shame on you. That's all you can really say is shame on you. I'm not gonna go in like how I truly can go in. I could go in so much, talking about how the guy look and all that other stuff, but what good is that gonna do? He always talk about, well, he doesn't care or anything like that. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Because if you cared that much, you wouldn't do some of the stuff that you would be doing. Yeah, that's facts. That's facts. And look, I'm not here to say, listen, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist or any of that. I'm not any of that. But I know one thing. This guy right here, he displays a peer of some uh he displays a lot of characteristics in terms of narcissism. Narcissism, and a uh, narcissist, a narcissistic type of personality. It's a mental illness. It's mental health issues. You know. And look, hey, I'll say this though, LA Live. You know, more people are doing a disservice than they are a service, especially when you talk about people that's online, because there's more people adding fuel to the fire instead of actually helping the situation. And Stephen A. Smith isn't the only guy that's sitting there making fun of a guy like Stephon Marbury. There's other stupid people doing that stuff too. And if you're doing it, man, shame on you. Shame on you. It's not nothing to be played with. Yeah, yeah, and no one is expendable. And look, as much as I, disagree with this guy, and I'm gonna be real, I don't like, even if I see him as this or that. Look, I don't wish nothing bad on nobody. But all I'm gonna say is this: is that when you putting that stuff out there in the universe, you're putting hate out there in the universe, you're putting anger out there in the universe. You're praying for somebody's downfall in the universe. Guess what? It's gonna come back on you, and that energy is gonna be 50 times worse. So that's why, like, whenever somebody talks about me or anything like that, man, I'm like, it doesn't bother me. It used to bother me. Used to get to me. Used to make me feel some type of way. But you always got to say that the universe is gonna take care of that. You're talking about a guy that talked about a guy like Kwame Brown. How do you don't know he was struggling with issues? How you don't know that these athletes are struggling and going through uh, their various issues and stuff like that? Oh, but because, like what we were talking about yesterday, you expect these guys to be robots. You expect these guys to be indestructible. You expect these guys to just regroup quick, like they're not human, and it don't work like that. That's why I don't really go on guys' personal life and stuff like that. I might not like them, agree with some of the things that they do, but you don't know what this guy's going through. That public persona that they might put out there, like they feeling good, or everything's good and everything, with their family and stuff like that. Man, they could go inside and their house could be broken, and you wouldn't even know it. You know why? Because you're not living with them. You're not living with them. You're not sleeping in the bed with them. You ain't going to the bathroom with them. You ain't waking up with them every day. You don't know what them got, man. Them guys could have children in there, teenagers that don't want to live no more. It could be infidelity going on both of their ends. They just say, okay, hey, look, let's just keep it together in front of the people to just put on the front. That guy could be abusing her. She could be abusing him, because domestic violence goes on both ways, and domestic violence is not just physically; it's mentally. You could hurt a person with words. You could hurt a person with words more than you could hurt them physically. A lot of people don't understand that. They just think, oh yeah, well, you know what, I'm gonna beat the shit out of my wife or beat the shit out of my husband and everything like that. That's gonna do more damage. You know. So look, man, you're dead wrong. You know, it's we living in time too now, and this society too, where it's more evident than ever, especially when you talk about the state of society that we're in right now. People are suffering. People are depressed because a lot of guys, man, have are not working the same jobs that they once used to. They're not able to. They're not able to provide like they once used to. But you know, some of y'all just think everything is the same. You expect everybody to just regroup all quick, and it don't work like that. Everybody got different personality. Everybody done been had their fair share of experiences. You know, Stephen A. Smith. There were people that supported him when he lost his mother. You know, and he should take that into account. There might have been people that probably couldn't stand him, but because they know the hurt, they know the pain, they know the suffering, and they could fathom with what he's going through, they still lended support. You gotta understand that, man. You gotta understand that, and you have to know stuff before you know a person's situation before you start going in on them. I limit some of the things on going in on what I how I truly go in on some of these people because I know that that's not doing me any justice. That's not helping the situation. I really don't like going in on any of my brothers. Yeah, I don't like going in on anybody like that, but especially like my brothers. You know what I'm saying? Even if they are, they might be a coon or they might have a difference of opinion or they belief is different. They still a brother, whether we want to like it or not. And I just that's just something that I don't really want to do. And for my sisters out there, True Viking, I know you're a sister. We we got to protect our sisters too. We got to protect our sisters. We got to protect our queens. Some of y'all might not agree with that, but we got to protect our queens. We got to protect our little princesses. We got to protect our princes too. We got to protect them because a lot of them are hurt. Because guess why? Guess what they looking at? Look, when you got a guy like Little Nas X, being on TV or on the internet or on social media with the stuff that he's doing, guess what's being presented to these little boys and girls? Guess what's being presented to these teenagers? Guess what's being presented to some of these young adults? And they see that and they see, okay, maybe I can do that. And it just keeps it in circulation. It keeps it in circulation. And some of y'all are hypocritical when you say, okay, yeah, I want to break the generational curse. Y'all not doing none of that. Y'all not really doing any of that. Because y'all want to keep it in circulation. Y'all want to do more talking instead of helping the situation. But see, when you see a guy out there that's actually trying to make things better, that's actually trying to send a message to people and everything, guess what they do? They excoriate that man. Because they so used to all the negativity. They so used to all the sex. They so used to all the drugs. They so used to all the violence. They so used to all people, talking down on one another. So that's what they want to see. They love controversy. They love controversy. They love going at each other. They don't like people helping one another. They want to see the destruction of one another. Because that's what sells. That's what sells. That's what gets the likes. That's what gets the views. That's what helps the channel grow. But look, y'all, like this video, share it, subscribe. Also hit them notifications too. I thank y'all for pulling up. LA Sports Live. True Viking first up in here, my queen. Till then, man, it's Polo Sports Talking ENT. I'm going to get at y'all later.